Why settle for only riding some Disney World rides when you could ride all of them in one trip? Hi there, it's your friendly neighborhood AJ reminding you that even though we always tell you to schedule downtime and get your sleep and relax when you're on vacation, sometimes it's just time to grind. We got a new ultimate itinerary coming your way today that's going to help you accomplish just that. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog, and today's video is for all my ride completionists out there, as well as anyone who wants to conquer the parks virtually and vicariously too. For many folks, the best part about a Disney vacation is the state-of-the-art ride. So today's video is going to take you through a full Disney World trip itinerary to show you A, how many days it'll take you to accomplish every Disney World ride, and B, how you can set yourself up for ride success before you go. Okay, quick disclaimers before we get started. Keep in mind that this itinerary is made under the assumption that all the rides will be on their best behavior during your visit. Sometimes Disney's rides can get finicky and go down for technical difficulties or bad weather, or they may even be completely closed all day long for refurbishments or maintenance. If a ride is down during your visit, don't let it throw off the rest of your ride completionist plans. Just pivot to plan B and stay flexible. Keep your eyes on the My Disney Experience app too, just in case said ride comes back online later in the day. Also, when you prioritize riding all the rides in Disney World, you may have to sacrifice other experiences like shows or sit-down meals in order to squeeze every ride in during your trip. While that might be more than okay for some, others may want to look over all of Disney's park offerings and make sure they got their must-dos listed out ahead of time so that those can take priority over getting all the rides accomplished. Different strokes for different folks. You can have lots of different types of Disney trips. One last thing, don't worry about taking notes today because we've already got the notes typed up for you. It's our newest handy-dandy little cheat sheet that you can download for free. Just scan the QR code you see on the screen now or head on over to disneyfoodblog.com/DisneyRides after this, and we're going to send it your way. Whew, all right, are we ready? Here we go. Day 1, Disney's Animal Kingdom. Think of your Animal Kingdom day as level 1. There's not a whole lot of rides you need to accomplish here. You can take it on pretty easily. We can ease into this challenge, even without using multi-pass lightning lanes. And bonus, you'll still be able to fit in other Animal Kingdom experiences during your day too. Like, I don't know, maybe grabbing some delicious churros and cocktails from Nomad Lounge, because we love that place. Anyway, if you're staying at a Disney-owned hotel, any Disney-owned hotel, then you'll have the early theme park entry perk at your disposal, which will come in great handy if you are taking on all of the Disney's rides during your trip. I don't really know what great handy means. I've never said that before, but I really like it. I think I'm going to adopt that. Reminds me kind of like boy howdy, great handy. Anyway, early theme park entry will allow you to enter any park on any day 30 minutes before they open to the general public. Because Animal Kingdom tends to open earlier than the other theme parks, you're going to have to make sure you get a good night's sleep and set your alarms accordingly, because early theme park entry, which I'm just going to start referring to as ETPE, ETP, maybe? Can we make that a thing? Anyway, could kick off as early as 7:30 a.m. For my ETP users at Animal Kingdom, guests will use that 30-minute advantage to get in line for Flight of Passage first. And that's not a bad strategy by any means. If you are stressed out and you want to ride Flight of Passage, you want to get it over with, you want to get it done, I understand. Go ahead and do that. That's okay. Because Flight of Passage is going to be your longest wait of the day. So getting it out of the way earlier means not having to stress about it later on. I'm obviously talking to my ride anxiety friends who are like, what if I don't get on it? What if I don't get to ride it? Anyway, however, if you are not riding anxiety like me, there are also 2 other options you can choose for Flight of Passage instead. Option numero uno, purchase a single pass lightning lane via the My Disney Experience app before your trip and don't stress over that long line whatsoever. Single passes for Flight of Passage typically cost $11 to $16 per person per single ride through. And now that I think about it, that's probably what my ride anxiety people should do anyway. Just lock it in and make sure you have it. Now, option number 2, you can wait until after you've ridden everything else in the park and then get in line for this one. This is for my ride risk takers, because even if you do have to wait a significant amount of time for it, at least you've still accomplished everything else you want to do in the park first. Not to mention, I really don't mind waiting in line for this one, which I think is a slightly unpopular opinion. But once you get up to the research lab, it's really cool. So if you use one of the other 2 options for Flight of Passage instead, you can actually use your early theme park entry time to get in line for Navi River Journey, which is the second ride over in Pandora and usually the second second most popular ride in the park. Navi River can also rack up extremely long wait times, but since, again, a lot of the early theme park entry guests are going to be flocking to Flight of Passage, this is probably your best time to get on Navi without worrying about too long of a wait. After Navi River, plan to ride Kilimanjaro Safaris next, since lines for this one should be pretty manageable. Not to mention the animals roaming around the park savannah will be more active at the start of the day, rather than later on when the sun starts blazing. Many animals are going to track down shady spots and take afternoon naps when it starts getting too hot out. It's me. I'm many animals. Anyway, Kilimanjaro Safaris is also fun to ride when it starts drizzling out, since it'll cool the animals down and they'll come out of hiding to appreciate the slightly cooler temps. Some animals might even start playing in the puddles left behind by the rain, especially the baby animals, and there's nothing cuter than a baby elephant just splishing and splashing. Kali River Rapids is a good ride to hit up earlier on too, so jump in line for this one next. Lines tend to be the worst for this when the heat reaches its peak temps of the day and people want to join the baby elephants with the whole splishing and splashing stuff. Now when it starts creeping into the afternoon hours, Dino Land USA has 2 rides you can conquer back to back, which shouldn't have very extensive wait times yet. But if you see Dinosaur pushing over 30 minutes or Triceratops Spin pushing over 15, I'd say grab a snack like an ice cream Sammy or something like that. Maybe play some carnival style games across the Fossil Fun game stations if you can afford it. You may have to take out a second mortgage, or have your kids climb around in the Boneyard play area to kill some time, because those ride wait times should drop down after a while. Note, that might not be the same case once we know an official closing date for these rides, since the new Tropical Americas section called Pueblo Esperanza is coming to Animal Kingdom and replacing Dino Land. And the closer it gets to these final days of operation, all the people who didn't care about these rides for years and years and years suddenly really want to ride them, and so they're all going to get in line for them. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. For now, the Dino Land rides are still live and kicking, and the wait times shouldn't be too terrible because the people that don't care about them still don't care about them. Now, unless you've held off on riding Flight of Passage because you like to take those risks, the final ride you'll need to accomplish here is Expedition Everest. Everest usually isn't a terrible wait either, but if the line's just a little too long for you, this is one of the few Disney World rides that has a single rider line you can use to help you cut down that wait significantly, most of the time. Just remember that using the single rider line is going to split up your party, which might not be the greatest strategy ever if you've got a kid with you who's already apprehensive about coming face to face with the Yeti in the mountains. And that's it. You've conquered them all. If you got time left over before the park closes, I'd highly recommend checking out the Broadway-style stage shows here, like Finding Nemo, The Big Blue and Beyond, or Festival of the Lion King. You can also squeeze in a bonus ride and take the Wildlife Express over to Rafiki's Planet Watch, where you'll find fun extra activities like the Affection Section Petting Zoo, talk about a Zen experience, and the Animation Experience, where you can learn how to draw a Disney animated animal character in a class led by a professional Disney sketch artist. Animal Kingdom can close as early as 6 to 7 p.m., so if you have a park hopper ticket, this might be a good time to get a head start on riding other rides in other parks. I'd recommend Hollywood Studios, since navigating the Magic Kingdom crowds toward the end of the day is a nightmare. But if you don't have a park hopper ticket, no worries. You can always head back to your hotel early, get all showered and rested for another full park day ahead of you. Now, day 2, good morning, we're going to Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom has the most rides out of all the Disney World parks, so in order to accomplish all of them, we're going to break up this park into 2 separate days so we don't end up breaking our backs over here. Even with that safety net Magic Kingdom day, lightning lanes can really help you out in this park, like majorly. And if you're planning on visiting during the holiday season or during another time of year when the crowds can get wild up in here, lightning lanes really are your best bet for getting on as many rides as possible in a single trip. But if you're not using lightning lanes, then let's go ahead and rope drop this one. I would usually recommend early theme park entry, but per the release of this video, Tron Light Cycle Run is not open during early theme park entry time, and that's the ride I want us to get in line for first. Many folks are probably going to have the same idea we do and hit up Tron just as soon as Mickey welcomes us all to the Magic Kingdom. So if you don't want to deal with the morning rush, you can also pay your way around the queue ahead of time instead with a single pass lightning lane purchase, which tends to be $20 per person per ride through. But, you know, the Tron queue isn't the worst queue in the world, and you can use that time in line to maybe pre-order your lunch via the mobile order option on your My Disney Experience app, or play the daily New York Times Connections game. I'm not the only one who still does that, right? Everyone else out there has the New York Times Games app too, right? Maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, after Tron, the rides in the Tomorrowland area that will potentially be busiest will be Space Mountain and Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. Checking on their times via the My Disney Experience app. If Space Mountain's over 45 and Buzz is over over 30, get in line for one of the other Tomorrowland rides instead, like People Mover, Astro Orbiter, People Mover, Tomorrowland Speedway, maybe the People Mover. Yeah, definitely go on the People Mover. Now, hopefully the ride lines do drop for Space Mountain and Buzz later on, but even if they don't, remember that you still have that safety net day built into your schedule. So you're more than welcome to go ahead and get in line for either of these rides, or you can press your luck and see if the waits for them will be more manageable during your second Magic Kingdom visit. No whammies. And now it's time to check the app again and see how Haunted Mansion is doing crowd-wise. We typically won't get in line for this one if it's pushing past the 40-minute marker, since there's a decent chance it'll drop below that sometime during the day. Now, if you're using Lightning Lanes, this is a good ride to snag a multi-pass for in advance. By the way, I go in depth as to why that is during our tips and hacks for Disney's new Lightning Lane multi-pass video, so make sure to check that one out when you get the chance. But if you're not using Lightning Lanes for Haunted Mansion, then you may want to wait until the Festival of Fantasy Parade and get in line for it right before the show begins, and you'll potentially have a shorter wait. Just don't wait to get in line for Haunted Mansion after the Festival of Fantasy Parade wraps up, because rides that are located near the parade route tend to have wait times skyrocket right after the show, with an influx of guests who decide to just jump in line for the nearest ride that they come across. Okay, now let's move over to Adventureland for our mid to late afternoon park shenanigans. Ooh, maybe we can grab a Dole Whip from Aloha Isle while we're over here too? Maybe? Yeah, of course we can. Wait times for Pirates of the Caribbean and Magic Carpets of Aladdin aren't usually horrible in Adventureland, unless, of course, you're visiting during one of those peak season times. But Jungle Cruise tends to have a consistently long line during the day, so this might also be a good one to prioritize before the parade too. Now, any of the rides I've mentioned earlier that could give you long line trouble during the day, like Tron, Space Mountain, Buzz Lightyear, Haunted Mansion, Jungle Cruise, more than likely will have much shorter waits before and during the Happily Ever After Nighttime Spectacular. So if a ride line just isn't budging and is staying pretty consistently high, you can always fill your day with other fun Magic Kingdom activities: Carousel of Progress, People Mover, Country Bear Musical Jamboree, People Mover, Enchanted Tiki Room, maybe the People Mover. Have you been on it? And then try returning to those popular rides right before Happily Ever After is about to start. Okay, we knocked out all the rides in Tomorrowland, Liberty Square, and Adventureland, but we'll do the rest of them during our second Magic Kingdom day. That being said, if you're visiting Magic Kingdom and the ride lines are shorter than predicted, or you've got Lightning Lanes helping you out, you might be able to squeeze in more rides in just one day. Some of the rides with lines that are usually shorter that you might still be able to fit into Magic Kingdom Day 1 include the Barnstormer, Dumbo, It's a Small World, Mad Tea Party, Prince Charming Regal Carousel, Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid, and People Mover. Sorry. Okay, day 3 is our break day. You've been doing awesome knocking out the rides so far, so let's go ahead and take a little rest. Factoring a break into your Disney World vacation can be crucial for helping you keep up the pace when you're doing this accomplish every Disney World ride sprint. That way you can sleep in a little, give your feet a break, and just take a day to really appreciate where you are. That being said, your break day doesn't have to be completely void of all Disney rides. There are still some more non-conventional rides you might be able to conquer during this time of rest. For example, if your feature pool at your hotel has a water slide, you can ride that over and over again. Oh, and speaking of water slides, Disney also has 2 water parks, Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach, that also have a whole lot of water rides for you to take on. Starting in 2025 as well, Disney hotel guests will be able to access one of the Disney water parks for free, since only one water park is ever open at a time lately, but you'll only be able to use that perk on your resort check-in day. Just something to keep in mind. Now, you might also want to check out the different Disney transportation options, since, yeah, they can feel like rides in and of themselves too. The Skyliner is going to zip you along the Disney property while you ride inside a sky gondola and take you to the multiple Skyliner resorts, as well as Hollywood Studios and Epcot. The monorail will loop you around the monorail resorts, Polynesian Village, Contemporary, and Grand Floridian, as well as over to the Magic Kingdom. And even the boats are a blast to check out, especially the ones that launch from Disney Springs and take you over to Port Orleans resorts, and Old Key West and or Saratoga Springs. Now, if you're okay with paying extra to ride a completely unique Disney ride, Disney Springs has vintage amphicar tours right next to the Boathouse restaurant, where you can actually take a captain-guided tour on Lake Buena Vista with ample views of Disney Springs' ever-evolving horizon. Now, these rides are pretty pricey, listed at $125, but you can get a slight discount on that ride if you have a receipt of $50 or more from the Boathouse or the Boathouse Boutique. Now, you might also want to pay extra to ride the Aerophile, which is a tethered balloon flight that takes guests up into the sky up to 400 feet above Disney Springs, and there are views for days because you know what? Florida is very flat. It's definitely not suited for those with a fear of heights, but it's an under-the-radar experience that might be a fun little bonus to tack onto your already impressive Ride Every Disney World Ride accomplishment. Good for you. Aerophile rides cost $30 per adult and $25 per kid, ages 3 to 9. Now, if you are obsessed with Disney rides and transportation like we are, I mean, you're this far into the video, so I'm assuming that's the case, we have a super stylish shirt up on the dfvstore.com website that's going to embrace your love for all things Disney rides, from the boats to the space shuttles to even the parking lot trams. Each shirt comes in different colors and styles and sizes, so the whole family can get matching ones that'll show off your dedication to not only riding every Disney World ride, but appreciating them on a whole new level. And by the way, you're going to get so many compliments on these shirts. They're so much better than those boring, like, Disney Trip 2024 shirts, right? So definitely grab this one. Okay, we are back at it again, but now we are in Disney's Hollywood Studios. Much like Magic Kingdom, DHS is a great park to get lightning lanes for, since so many of the rides here are A-listers that rack up major crowds. You can still probably hit up all the rides in the park without lightning lanes if you're visiting during an average or low crowd season. But you remember my disclaimer earlier? The whole riding every ride could mean sacrificing the shows warning. This is definitely the case for Hollywood Studios, which is a park that's packed with lots of live shows like Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular, Disney Junior Dance Party, don't want to miss that, Frozen Sing-Along Celebration, and the soon-to-be Little Mermaid, a musical adventure show. They say it's going to open this fall. We'll see. So if there are any shows you want to see here, or even if there are multiple shows you want to see here, having lightning lanes pre-purchased will help you free up time for that. But if you don't want to pay for lightning lanes and you don't care about sacrificing some of the shows in order to make more room in your schedule for all of those top tier rides, get to Hollywood Studios as early as you can, hopefully with your early theme park entry in tow, and head to Slinky Dog Dash first. Not only will the line be shorter at the start of the day, it won't be nearly as sweltering earlier on in the morning either. This is kind of like, what do Hagrid and Slinky Dog have in common, right? Right. Okay. Now, I don't know what it is about poor Slink, but his queue is like the hottest queue line in the park. And I don't mean hot in a good way. I mean it in a Florida way. Now, we interrupt this program to bring you a Stay Hydrated in Disney World announcement. Please drink water all day long. Okay, thank you. We can now resume. Go ahead and finish out the rest of Toy Story Land while you're here, since lines will still be more manageable for them in the morning than they will be later on. This means taking on Toy Story Mania and Alien Swirling Saucers, and then leaving this super duper scalding area of the park. Well, leaving it for now. You probably want to come back later to grab some tachos from Woody's Lunchbox, because those little salty loaded potato barrels are real good. And to be fair, you could get them right now because you could just get them as breakfast tachos. Who doesn't like breakfast tachos? Anyway, we will head to Galaxy's Edge later on because a lot of folks head to the back of the park first thing in the morning and linger around there for a while. Though I would still check on those wait times for Rise of the Resistance periodically just in case they happen to drop big time, which is usually the case if the ride goes down temporarily for technical difficulties and then comes back online before people realize it's up and running again. We call that vulturing a ride, is when you kind of see that it's gone down for technical difficulties and you just sort of hang around and watch it and see if you can be the first one in line when it opens back up. Anyway, Rise of the Resistance also does have a single pass lightning lane to purchase if you'd rather not worry about the wait time hassle, and those tend to cost $15 to $25 per person per single ride through, depending on the day. But for the purposes of this video, even though I just told you to keep an eye on those wait times, we are still going to put Galaxy's Edge on the back burner for now and head to Sunset Boulevard instead. Wait times for rides on Sunset Boulevard, Rock and Roller Coaster and Tower of Terror, can get intimidating. Tower of Terror is another one of those solid ones to pick up a lightning lane for in advance if you got the multi-pass purchased. Otherwise, you may want to wait on this one till later in the day, unless you see the line drop down for it. Rock and Roller Coaster does have a single rider option you can jump into, although it's not always a guaranteed shorter wait. If you're not using lightning lanes on your Hollywood Studios day, you may just have to buckle down for this one and wait in line, and go back to your daily New York Times Connections game to help you pass the time. However, if you're staying at a Disney Deluxe Resort during your vacation, check in see if you can use extended evening hours for this park. Extended evening hours are for deluxe resort guests only and are available on select days at certain parks, giving those fancy guests the chance to hang out inside the park for an extra 2 hours longer than everyone else. This little perk can majorly help cut down on ride waits too. if you're not too keen on waiting in a line that's pushing over the 60-minute marker during your day, which I am not. To see when extended evening hours are available, check Disney's park hours and events calendar on their website before you visit. It'll list them all. Now let's move back over to the front of the park to knock out Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway next. Runaway Railway keeps a pretty steady 30 to 40 minute wait during the day, so you should be good to pop in line for it whenever. Only some of the line is outdoors, but the majority of it is inside the Grauman's Chinese Theater replica, which thank goodness is air conditioned. Sometimes I'll swing by one of the snack carts right outside the ride to grab some roasted almonds or popcorn and have something to munch on while I'm biding my time in line, which you're more than welcome to do at pretty much any Disney ride. Just make sure you're able to tuck your snack safely back into your park bag before the ride begins, or dispose of it in one of the trash cans in the queue if you know you're not going to be able to finish it before it's your turn to board. Now, Star Tours over in Echo Lake is usually a short wait all day long and can even be a fun one to go on twice since it has those randomized storylines each time. Do not wait over 20 minutes for this one if you can help it, because more than likely the wait will drop down. Toward the end of the night, lines are going to start to get better, especially closer to the Fantasmic showtime, so this is a good time to finally step into Galaxy's Edge and start tackling the rides over there. Smuggler's Run does have a single rider line that can help cut down your wait and usually works way better than Rock and Roller Coasters does, but if you do choose the single rider path, keep in mind that you more than likely won't be put in the pilot's seat of the Millennium Falcon unless the family that you're riding with is super nice and offers it to you. And now we're back to Rise of the Resistance. Again, you'll more than likely see this one with a shorter wait by the end of the evening, and as long as the queue is still open and letting people in, you can get in line for any Disney ride, including Rise, within minutes to spare before the park closing and still be able to experience it after park hours. If you're in line before the minute the park closes, you will be able to ride. But, warning, there's a caveat here, there's a gamble for all you risk takers. If it just so happens to break down on you, a notorious Rise of the Resistance move, the ride isn't opening back up after park hours, so you just have to count your losses unless you got park hoppers added into your park ticket that'll allow you to hop back to this park and try again on another day. Oh, it's the day we've all been waiting for. Maybe just I've been waiting for it. Day 5 in Epcot. Good news, we're going to take things easier today since Epcot's not too taxing when it comes to riding all of the park's rides. Bad news, we're still going to have to wake up early to grab that virtual queue for Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, which goes live right at 7 a.m. on the dot. Fortunately, you can grab that virtual queue at 7 a.m. via your My Disney Experience app from the comfort of your hotel room bed, so you don't have to be all dressed and ready for the day yet. But I would recommend waking up maybe around 6:30ish, just so you can pre-select your ride party before 7 a.m. The party selection option will open up starting at 6, giving you the chance to knock out this step so you don't have to worry about it when the virtual queue goes live. And that's a big deal since virtual queues book up really, really fast. If you oversleep or if your phone is rebelling against you for whatever reason and you miss that 7 a.m. virtual queue drop, you still have another chance to enter that virtual queue around 1 p.m., but you will have to physically be in the park to try your luck at that one. Or if you don't want to deal with the virtual queue headache or the anxiety of will I, won't I, single pass lightning lanes are available for Cosmic Rewind for around $14 to $17 per person. Now, aside from all the virtual queue chaos, your busiest rides of the day inside Epcot will be Remy's Ratatouille Adventure and Frozen Ever After. And probably Test Track 2 once it opens next summer, but we got a ways to go before we have to worry about that. Usually I jump in line for Remy's Ratatouille Adventure first, right at rope drop or early entry, whichever one you're relying on. And if you're staying at one of the Skyliner resorts, Pop Century, Art of Animation, Riviera, or Caribbean Beach, or one of the Epcot area resorts, Boardwalk Inn or Yacht and Beach Club, or Swan and Dolphin, then you definitely want to prioritize Remy first since you'll be entering Epcot through the International Gateway, otherwise known as the back of the park, which is steps away from the France Pavilion where Remy's Ratatouille Adventure is located. And then if you're cool with skipping Epcot's fireworks show, Luminous, sorry, I'm skipping to the end of the day real quick because what even is time? Then I'd recommend getting in line for Frozen Ever After right before the show begins, where you'll again probably find that this ride will have a much shorter wait than you'll see it project throughout the bulk of the day. Soarin' can also have a pretty lengthy wait at times, but it will drop down periodically. Check the My Disney Experience app during the day and avoid waiting over 35 to 40 minutes for this one if you can. After that, literally the rest of the rides should be a breeze to get on in Epcot. So go ahead and knock out the following whenever you're ready for them. Grand Fiesta Tour, Journey into Imagination with Figment, Living with the Land, Mission Space, The Seas with Nemo and Friends, and of course, She is Beauty, She is Grace, Spaceship Earth. The one time you do not want to hop in line for Spaceship Earth, though, is the first thing in the morning or the first thing in the day, since it's right at the front of the park. So everyone who doesn't know Epcot very well is going to get in line for that right away because it's the first ride they see. So really long lines earlier in the day. Now, you should still have plenty of time throughout your Epcot day to appreciate other aspects of the park, which you totally should. So go ahead and take your time exploring the World Showcase and all 11 country pavilions, and venture in and around Journey of Water, inspired by Moana to play with the living waters, and enjoy whatever festival offerings might be available during your visit, if a festival's happening at that time. We have made it to day 6. It's Magic Kingdom again. This is kind of our cleanup day. We're finishing up our trip strong by returning to the OG Disney World Park, Magic Kingdom, for our Part 2 park day. Again, we got to get up bright and early if we want to grab a virtual queue for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. However, it is worth noting that Tiana's also has a Lightning Lane option that you can pre-select with your multi-pass purchase, meaning you don't have to pay a separate price for this one, even though it is currently the newest Disney ride property-wide. Another option for getting on Tiana's Bayou Adventure and not having to worry about all the virtual queue stress is through an after-hours event or Magic Kingdom holiday party like Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party or Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. These are separate ticket purchases with a capped-off number of guests that are allowed at each event or party, meaning ride lines are relatively shorter than you'll find them during the regular day hours. Best of all, Tiana's does not use a virtual queue at either of these parties or events, so you can just walk on into a standby line and wait to ride like normal. Maybe even ride multiple times in a row if the line's short enough. The power is in your hands. Now, after-hours events will also be available at Hollywood Studios and Epcot on select days throughout 2025, giving guests a chance to stick around the parks 3 hours after they close to the general public. The Animal Kingdom after-hours dates usually get announced later in the year, like we've got them for 2024, but not for 2025 yet, so stay tuned to our blog. Be sure to sign up for our newsletter because those are definitely a huge deal to let you know about when those after-hours events are announced. So the link to sign up for the newsletter is right down in the description. If you're not a member already of our newsletter, go for it. It's totally free. Now, since you're potentially already up and at 'em to grab that Tiana's Bayou Adventure virtual queue, let's go ahead and use our early theme park entry benefit one last time to hit up Seven Dwarfs Mine Train before that line gets busy. Seven Dwarfs also has a single pass Lightning Lane available to pre-purchase, which will cost you around $10 to $12 per person per ride through. Since this ride is located in Fantasyland, now you can take on the rest of the Fantasyland rides while you're here if you didn't get the chance to ride them on Magic Kingdom Day 1. The one Fantasyland ride that could prove to have a challenging wait time is Peter Pan's Flight. It's probably the second most popular ride in the park. So if it's already way high up there, wait to ride this one toward the end of the night around Happily Ever After time. Or you could switch things around and ride Peter Pan's Flight first and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train last. After all, if you time your Seven Dwarfs ride through just right, you might be able to see some of the Magic Kingdom fireworks during your adventure, and that's very cool. Another fun coaster to ride at night is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, but much like I warned you about Haunted Mansion, don't get in line for this coaster right after the Festival of Fantasy parade has gone through this area, because the queue is going to be awful for the wildest ride in the wilderness right after the parade. After that, the choice is yours. This is your last day in the parks after all, so experience some of the extra attractions while you've got the chance. This is a great time to check out the gift shops lining Main Street USA, watch Mickey's Fill Her Magic, pick up a custom ornament over at Ye Olde Christmas Shop, get a free pixie dusting over at Sir Mickey's, grab yourself a little savory treat at the Adventureland Spring Roll Cart, and oh, come on, you know what I'm going to recommend, but if you don't, it starts with a P and rhymes with Meeple Mover. All right, give yourself a pat on the back because you just completed every single ride in Disney World, and you had a rest day, and you got to see some shows, and it was just phenomenal. Wasn't it great? I had a really good time. Now, since you are here, go ahead and drop in the comments your favorite Disney World ride of all time. I'm perfectly comfortable with you using extinct rides because those would probably be my favorite rides too. And if you're about to go for the first time ever, let us know which ride you are most excited to experience. And don't forget to pick up our Every Disney World Ride cheat sheet over at disneyfoodblog.com/Disney Rides. It's brand new. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.